How do you balance work life? What's your daily routine? Okay, what do you do for work? What do you even do? I just live off of my dad. That's what people want me to say. Please, nobody's sound bite that so that's my answer. Hey guys, long time no see. I thought I'd do a Q&A before I start podcasting again. So the interview podcast will be out next week, but this week we have a Q&A. And so I also thought I'd start with a general life update because I did disappear for a while again. So the biggest change, I guess, for me in the last number of months would be fully embracing Christianity. Now, this is going to sound strange to people who aren't Christians. Hopefully it doesn't sound strange to Christians. I thought I was fully embracing it before, and I did believe, but I didn't feel like I do now. I went from believing in the Bible to knowing it's true, and I don't think I can explain that in a rational way, but that's what happened in the last 4 months, if that makes sense. I went through a seriously spiritual experience that completely turned my world upside down. I felt the Holy Spirit descend on me, something I now don't believe I had until now. I felt Jesus' forgiveness, and about a week and a half later got baptized. I didn't put that online, and I will, but it was a crazy enough experience. I'll probably post it in July or August, but I need to figure out what I want to say exactly. But quickly, for now, I understand what Christians mean by saved. I always thought that was, I don't know. I guess I didn't really think about it, but I thought it was an intense way of putting it. But now I get it. My desires have changed. I have more patience and peace and love, and life is much improved. I converted to Christianity in 2021, but I was kind of missing the Jesus component, which is the main component, without even knowing I was missing it until about 4 months ago. I don't think people who aren't saved can understand what that component is. So and I'm not trying to say that in a negative way, and I don't fault myself for not getting it, because it's really hard to wrap your head around when you're not Christian. But I now know I didn't feel the relationship with him like I do now. I'll tell you guys in detail about exactly what happened in a few months once I wrap my head around it more. But it's been transformative, and I'm extremely grateful. There were more reasons for the gap. That was a big one. But part of it was spiritual. That was huge. I wasn't sure. And then that kind of led to me not being sure what I was doing in my life that I shouldn't be doing sinfully, right? And so I wanted to make sure that I wasn't doing the podcast for sinful reasons. And I wanted to give myself, which sounds intense, but social media, you get a lot of attention on social media and things. So I wanted to make sure that that was good. And I needed time to get my priorities straight, which I think I have, hence the podcast up and running again. And then we've been working really hard on Peterson Academy, which is going to be launching at the very beginning of July. So that's eaten up a ton of time. I had a baby in December, George, and I honestly should have taken more time off at the beginning. I went pretty much right back into podcasting, and I timed it when he napped, but it was a lot. It wasn't good for my stress levels. And then I needed some time with my husband, Jordan. We also worked on a new product that we'll be launching soon from Fuller Health, the company that does the hangover supplement after party. I toured a bit with my dad. I just went to a few shows that were near Scottsdale. And then we had some major legal issues that weren't my fault, but I had to deal with them anyway, that wasted a ton of time. So some unnecessary drama was thrown in there as well. So a lot has happened over the last 4 months, and I didn't have my head in the game for podcasting or online content without being distracted, so decided to wait until it felt right. So now I'm back. And now we'll get to the Q&A portion. Hey guys, I've partnered with Marek Health, a very cool telehealth company for health optimization. Derek Monroe helped start it. I had him on a while ago, last year. I only ever advertise things I actually use and recommend, and I've recommended Marek Health to so many people offline. As you probably know, men's testosterone in particular is at an all-time low, and if you're suffering from low motivation and low sex drive, low energy, my first suggestion is optimize your diet, but I'd also suggest doing blood work. Marek Health offers in-depth hormone panels as well as a ton of other blood work. A lot of the blood work you can get tested at a regular doctor's office doesn't go in-depth properly or even test the right things. And if you're going to try to optimize hormones, you definitely want someone treating you who knows what they're doing. Otherwise, you get a doctor that doesn't prescribe treatments properly. The doctors that work with Marek are very in the know about lifestyle optimization and can prescribe hormones, peptides, high-quality vitamins, supplements, fun things, etc. I use them for blood work. My dad uses them. My husband uses them. My brothers use them for blood work. They do your blood work and then thoroughly explain the markers and suggest treatments. If you want to try the same hormone panel I've had done 3 times now, you can check them out at marekhealth.com/Mikhaila. So many people have hormone problems nowadays that could be fixed with some supplements or hormone therapy and diet, of course, and they could feel so much better pretty quickly. So check them out at marekhealth.com/Mikhaila, code MP for 10% off at checkout. They're pinned in the description and in the pinned comment. Enjoy the rest of this episode. Do you have advice for young people dating? Yes, I have advice I'd give myself anyway. 1, health. Fix your diet first and foremost. Sleep properly, but diet is key. Cut out processed foods, stop eating junk, stop drinking junk. That matters so much. It'll change everything in your life, plus make you hotter. I wish someone had told me that when I was younger. I didn't realize eating healthily will make you hotter. That would have been great. 2, money. Get good at something and figure out how to support yourself. I'd spend until you're 23 or 24 setting up your life so you have some money. As a woman, that's important too, so you don't end up accidentally reliant on a psychopath. Number 3, education. Read. Part of the reason we're launching Peterson Academy is to give people a place to go where they can learn from the best, but also talk to other people interested in those ideas on the social media platform built into the app, which I'm so excited about. So educate yourself. Number 4, practice boundaries. This was particularly important for me to learn. And I've just gotten better at it the older I've got. But learn to say no when you don't want to do something. Stop letting people push you around. The more you practice, the easier it is to figure out what you want and don't like, and the more seriously you're taken, and the easier it is to negotiate in a relationship and stay truthful. So practice boundaries. That's huge. Number 5, I've got a bunch, I think. Write down what type of person you want so you know what you're looking for. Dad taught me that, actually. Dare to dream, write what you want down. Personality, humor, is money important? Are looks important? Is health important? Etc. Write all that down. That helps a lot. Then you can identify when people pop up and you're like, yeah, that's kind of what I was looking for. Number 6, listen to your intuition. If you're getting danger or crazy vibes, run. Just stop and run. There's plenty of people out there, and particularly for young women, don't just go off after the fun, charismatic guy, especially if you're getting danger vibes. Number 7, don't sleep around. I don't even think I need to get into that. It doesn't make people like you more. It doesn't make the men like you more. It's like gross on a soul level. Don't do that. It's not worth it. Number 8, if you're trying to figure out where to look for people, I'd look in church. If you have nowhere else to look, that's a good start, even if you're not a Christian. Go scope out those churches, and then maybe you'll find someone who can help you become a Christian anyway. Christian men are like, they've got good morals. I would go there. And women too. Go there. 9, I don't know if I have 10. I think I have 9 though. Improve what you look like. Diet and being healthy plays a huge role, Exercise, figure out how to do your hair and wear makeup if you're a girl, clean your nails, get them done, wear nice fitting clothes. Give yourself a makeover and do that every day. For a guy, hit the gym. Doesn't matter what you look like really as a dude. Just putting it out there. Just get fit, get muscular. Girls are gonna want you. And then for girls, hair and makeup and putting effort in and losing weight with diet makes a huge difference. Just being healthy makes you attractive nowadays. Most people are not healthy. Just try to get healthy. Use diet, it works. The bar has never been so low to be wanted. Improving yourself so you're someone people want to date is how you find people. They'll come to you after that. Yeah, those are my 9 tips. Okay, another question. What do you do for work? Okay, what do you even do? I get that all the time. I just live off of my dad. That's what people want me to say. I'll get into what I actually do though. And please, nobody's like sound bite that so that's my answer. At the beginning of the year, I made a plan to try and grow every business I'm involved in enough so that it operates basically without me. That was the goal. So that's one of my many goals for the next year, and it's well underway, so I have more time with babies. So there are 3 things I do that make money, 2 that don't, but maybe will in the future, and 1 that has cost an arm and a leg, but should be incredibly successful. I have my podcast, which I try to do weekly. I know I took a break, but I try to do weekly, and I'm moving that to in person, so that's fun. I monetize that through ads. I have a company called Fuller Health. We're launching a new product soon. Currently it sells After Party, which I actually have here. If you guys haven't seen it, this is our box. It's a bougie box. Jordan was like, we need the box to be bougie. And I was like, nobody wants that. And it turns out people want that. So maybe I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, this is Fuller Health. After Party. Can I open it without ripping? There it is in all of its glory. So if you want to check that out, go to fullerhealth.com. Or like I said, we're on Amazon finally. Shipping's super fast. And please leave reviews. I love them. I read them all. I'll link that in the description in the pinned comment. Anything I mention, I'll just link below so you can press on it. But I started Fuller Health partly because I figured I might as well be selling my own products if I'm going to be advertising on the podcast. And partly because I couldn't find exactly what I wanted online. That was actually a huge part of it, especially for the hangover supplement, because I knew dihydromycin like fixes hangovers, but I was sourcing it from really sketchy areas in like Asia, and I had to buy it in Bitcoin at one point. Or I found some that were too weak and were full of fillers that make me feel like garbage. So I think with Fuller Health, I'm just going to make products that I want, and it's just going to be this hodgepodge of like weird products. So we'll see what happens with Fuller Health. Yeah. Picture 20-year-old Mikhaila being like, I found a magical herb and it cures hangovers, and just being laughed at by my roommates. And then picture me now, and it's still kind of the same, but at least I have a product and don't suffer from hangovers anymore. So there's that. So Jordan, my husband, does a lot of work on Fuller Health too, and we have a few people hired, so a lot of that is hands-off for me, except for marketing and coming up with new products and doing some of the design and like fun stuff, high level involvement and fun stuff. I'm very fortunate. So that makes money. The podcast makes money. And then I oversee my dad's brand. Again, at this point, very high level involvement. Over the last 6 years, I've set up a team that does most of the work, and they're great. Like everybody we work with is amazing. And husband Jordan, does a lot of the communication with people who work there now, and I'm more involved in major decisions. So that's like a lot of communicating with dad and talking about big ideas, and then sometimes like stepping in to solve problems. But that I've managed to turn into like hands off. And when we had a baby, Jordan and I wanted to make sure that I had less to do so I could hang out with the baby more, hang out with kids more. So that's actually worked out pretty well. And then Peterson Academy has been a lot of work, like a ton of work. I had this idea, this naive idea at the beginning that I was like, yeah, online university, how hard is that? That was incorrect. It is hard. It's not hard like getting healthy is hard, but it's fun, so it doesn't really, it's not like it bothers me or anything, but wow, is it a lot more work than I initially envisioned. So Jordan and I work closely on this. He has a COO position at Peterson Academy and has dealt with setting up the company and hiring it to run really well. So thank God for him. I've been focused on like determining what Peterson Academy is, vetting professors, choosing courses, UI on the site, design of everything to thumbnails to what features are available on the platform. I kind of went through what I wanted on a social media platform, on an educational platform. And then I work with Dad, connecting with the government and institutions that we might collaborate with, talking to investors. So high level things, but also a lot of the UI design. So when you guys go onto the website, I didn't build it, I'm not a coder, but a lot of what it looks like comes from me and comes from Jordan as well. That project has left us in a ton of debt, but It's launching in July. I think it's going to be great, or I'm going to be very broke soon, but I can't wait for you guys to see the courses. I cannot wait for you guys to see the courses. They're like, I don't know, people who were in university back in 2012, I tried to take online courses and they were so bad. I also didn't go to a great university. I went to Concordia, and I'm sure it's worse now, but they were so bad that these courses are like Netflix level. They're so good. The professors are so good, and the social media platform looks amazing. So if you want to be notified of launch, you can sign up at petersonacademy.com. I'll probably go on Dad's podcast in July when we launch to describe it more, but we've basically built an ecosystem for cool people trying to learn. The social media component is something I'm actually going to use, and there won't be spam or bots because it's subscription, and like who's going to pay to spam a website? Hopefully nobody, but who knows how big that will get. So I'm ridiculously excited to launch that. I can't believe we did it, to be honest. It's beautiful. Dad can't believe it either. He's like, wow, good job, which is nice. So there's praise, much needed praise incoming from my dad, which is great. I also can't wait to have a social media platform that isn't full of garbage too. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. I also love the professors are on board. They're so cool. Most of them want to do more courses, which is amazing. They're interested in teaching just to teach because they love it rather than trying to indoctrinate people. So yeah, Peterson Academy. It's linked below if you want to be notified of launch. We're going to roll it out slowly over the next month. So maybe you'll be lucky and get early access, and then wham, full force in July. How do you manage to work so much with a baby and a 6-year-old? So I work from home, but I have a rota nanny that lives with me. A rota nanny means a rotational nanny. So I have 2 ladies that swap out every 2 weeks, so nobody gets exhausted. So I have 24/7 baby care if I need it. This is not at all to say I don't see George. Okay, I do work from home. Not everybody who has a nanny doesn't see their kid. That's just a misconception. Plus, moms want to see their baby. So I see George way more than someone with a full-time job who has to go somewhere else to work. And I take care of him, and I work from home because I want to be able to do that. But I also wanted to set up my life so that I can have more kids and work and do these projects. And I'm not worried about being isolated or not being able to do something when I want to. I can go out on dates with my husband whenever I want because there's someone here who knows George. And it's like scary leaving a little baby with somebody who doesn't know the baby. So I don't think I'd be able to do that without having somebody who lives in, who knows George. It's extremely expensive, to be honest, insanely expensive, but I can afford it now. And there's no way I would be able to be at home with my kids and have the freedom to work and get sleep and have a life without having a live-in nanny. So this is something I didn't know how wealthy people had their lives set up because I didn't know any wealthy people. So most CEOs or executives that I know have this kind of setup if they have kids and the mom has a job as well. Like I said, I didn't know how super busy people had kids, especially women, and survived. But this is usually how, rota nannies. It's pretty normal for 2 executive working parents. I don't think people talk about it, but this is what they do. This is also going to allow me to have more kids without getting overwhelmed. I have 0 qualms with this. I'm very thankful I'm able to afford this. I've worked really hard to be able to afford this, and it's what I want to spend my money on. It'll let me have more kids without risking damaging my relationship, becoming resentful, and I'll still be able to work. And the best part is I get to see my kids all the time. I usually use it. So usually during the day, the nannies will cover a few shifts during the day, but I know that if George is down for a nap, they have eyes on him. I'll actually also do another video about what gadgets and things I use for babies because that's helpful. Like I use something called a Nanit to watch him. And we use Baby Connect to track naps, but I'll get into that in another video. Then if I'm also podcasting or on a meeting and he wakes up from a nap, the nanny can grab him and I can see him after I'm done. It's almost like having a grandma in-house. With Scarlett, my 6-year-old, who is done grade 1, she's going to grade 2 next year, which is crazy. I stayed home with her with no help and worked from home for the first year, like with a baby on my lap. And for a number of reasons, it was really not great. I was super isolated. None of my friends had babies. I was 24 or 25 at the time. I think I was 25 at the time. I was really stressed. It was scary enough that I was really anxious about having another baby. Like it scarred me enough. the isolation in particular scarred me enough that I was quite anxious, especially leading up to having George, about having help and not being isolated. I was worried about having another baby. I had a miserable pregnancy with her. My autoimmune symptoms came back. I was on the paleo diet when I got pregnant. My autoimmune symptoms came back. And 5 months after she was born is when I switched to the Lion diet because I couldn't get my symptoms under control with the paleo diet anymore. I was living in a moldy house. It had a leak to the outdoors in the basement. I didn't realize at the time that was contributing to my food sensitivities and autoimmune disorder and mental health and sleep, etc., panic levels, distress. So that year with Scarlett was really hard and it scared me. I don't know if you guys remember, I think it was a Q&A 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, where I said I was seriously considering surrogacy. And that was because when I was living in Miami, I had a miscarriage, which I talked about in a different Q&A. And that wasn't like, I'm fine. Those suck. They're also extremely common. But the period when I was pregnant, before I miscarried, I went batshit crazy again during the pregnancy part. I was having suicidal thoughts, serious instability. I felt outside of my body and it was not safe mentally, like not doable, really scary. So once I realized I had mold toxicity and got really careful with my air and healed, with George, I had what I would consider a pretty easy pregnancy. Not easy because being pregnant isn't easy, but compared to what I went through before, it was a breeze. Other than the fact meat tasted terrible. I had a meat aversion the whole time, but I didn't go too crazy, just like normal pregnancy crazy. So it was good. So surrogacy is off the table at the moment because I did pray about being able to tolerate pregnancy I prayed for 2 years. And I can now, it seems. And I was really only considering surrogacy because I was suicidal during pregnancy, which isn't doable. And I still wanted kids. That's just not a doable combination. So thank God that that's all sorted. That being said, just to comment on surrogacy, I know there are a lot of conservatives against surrogacy. I'm not even sure I'm a conservative. I've talked about this before. I don't even know what I am. Definitely not a liberal. I don't think I'm conservative either. So I think anything that brings a baby into the world, overall is a positive thing. I know everything can be used for evil and this can be abused for sure, but I don't think it's fair to tell people that do surrogacy that they're doing something wrong when it can result in a baby for people who can't have babies. Like, oh, I've had 3 naturally, you can't have any, but surrogacy is bad, so you shouldn't be able to. Like, whatever. I'm not going to do it at the moment because I, thank God, figured out why I was getting suicidal during pregnancy. It seemed to be caused by mold exposure. But yeah, no judgment on people who do. Next question. How do we survive on one income if we want kids? Yeah. So for women, I'd go after a man that has a higher income. I mean, that seems like an easy solution. Marry somebody rich. I know that's tricky, but if you follow my dating steps, maybe you can get there. And then if you guys aren't wealthy and you want to figure out how to live off of one income, figure out how much you're making, then have conversations about what your life is going to look like sharing an income, ideally before you're pregnant. Is there one bank account? Is there a budget? This is huge for the success of a relationship through having kids. Because pregnancy is one thing, but then when you have the kid, nobody's sleeping, you're arguing, things are stressful. I've seen so many women who are kept hostage by their husband once they have kids and feel like they can't spend anything, even though they're at home doing full-time work with a baby. I've seen that with people with money too. So those conversations ideally take place before babies are in the mix. You want to find a man who will take care of you and wants to and knows that his duty as a man is to care for you so you can take care of his children. Because without that, having kids is really hard. And then try to come up with ways to make more money, Maybe you don't have free time. Maybe it involves hiring like a neighborhood kid to do some things you don't need to do so that you can have more time to spend on a project. Like maybe the neighborhood kid can help you clean or go through packages to take things off your plate. Stop grocery shopping, use Instacart, like buy back your time to make more money if you're entrepreneurial. If you're entrepreneurial, figure out how to make more money too. I'll have podcast guests on, they can tell you how to do that. I just worked all the time. That's how I ended up making more money. And then I'd have my main source of income and I'd start a side hustle and then just grow that until it was successful. This podcast is a side hustle. And yeah, if you're not entrepreneurial, increase your own status and value so that you can get a high value man who will take care of you. Yes, so that was directed at women. Okay, next question. How do you balance work life? What's your daily routine? Okay, I wake up, grab George. If Scarlett's with me, she's with me half the time, unfortunately. I get her ready for school or camp in the summer. She's got a good camp she goes to. And then I hang out with George and read the Bible. If I wake up earlier, I'll read the Bible earlier. But I've been tired lately from so much going on and a bad sleep schedule. So I haven't been waking up as early as I'd like. So this is my current schedule, but it certainly isn't my ideal schedule. Then George goes down for a nap and I'll get ready for the day with like makeup and making myself look better so Jordan still loves me. Kidding, but also not kidding. Then I get to work on emails or work on projects, Peterson Academy, deal with lawyers, whatever my high priority items are for the day. Then I hang out with George more and clean a bit usually and eat. I eat twice a day now. If I only eat once a day, I get pretty hungry. Especially if I'm working, I get hungry. I usually eat burger or ground beef for lunch. I don't just survive off of strip loins anymore. That was a brief period of time. Brief, like a year and a half. But now I have burger for lunch. Sometimes I'll nap. I hate napping. I had chronic fatigue for so long that I'm like traumatized by napping. Just throwing around the word trauma pretty casually there. I'm not traumatized by napping, but I hate napping. I feel like I'm like losing out on life napping. But I've been tired from too much going on. So I nap sometimes. Then I do more work. Then I hang out with Scarlett, put her to bed, put George to bed. And then Jordan and I will usually go out for dinner and come home and watch something and sleep. Just watch Dune. I thought Dune was terrible. I posted about it on Instagram and people were like, "Oh, San Gaib, if you don't like Dune, you shouldn't watch movies." Dune was bad. It was bad. And then I watched Blade Runner and you know what? It was really disappointing at the end. So that's what we're doing. We're watching disappointing movies before bed. My ideal routine would be waking up at 6 and would be way more structured, which I'll get back to, but with a baby, and a cold plunge. I usually do a cold plunge at some point during the day too. With so many projects, I'm too tired to do that. Wake up at 6 right now. So maybe in a few months. Yeah. This type of routine also, like how casual it is obviously only doable for me because I have a whole bunch of different jobs and they're all from home and I have a live-in nanny and help. So shout out to them. I'll get into that in the baby video. I'll make that. And then shout out to me for making money. Woo. Shout out to Dad too. And God. Okay, I'm done. Last month, I also traveled a bit to do some shows with Dad. I opened. And next month, I'm going to go to Austin to help launch Peterson Academy, do some podcasts. And then every day, there's usually a call or two with my dad. And now that I'm filming again, I'll do that in the afternoon, sometimes instead of a nap. Like I said, I hate napping. I also need Jordan to stop keeping me up at night so I can get more sleep. Men need less sleep than women. It's not fair. It's fun hanging around with your best friend, but I'm too old to not go to bed at 10. Yeah. Okay, Q&A done. Kinda short, but that's fine. And then I will be doing a plastic surgery video. See, I'm not a conservative. I don't know what I am, but I'm not a conservative. I'll be doing that video and a non-plastic surgery beauty video. I'll cover beauty hacks, lasers, etc. I'm actually gonna go do a fractionated CO2 treatment Friday where they like laser off your face and neck. So maybe I'll film that and I'll add it into one of these videos. I know people have been waiting for those videos and I do really wanna do them. So I'm aiming for July. I'm not pushing them off. I've just been swamped and busy. Had a spiritual awakening, and had a baby. I'm also gonna have Jordan on the podcast finally so you guys can meet him. It's taken me like 2 years to convince him to come on, which is strange because he's very extroverted. So he's the one delaying it, not me. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Keep your eyes peeled for Peterson Academy's launch. And next week, Brian Callen is being released, which was a fun episode. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'll talk to you guys soon.